just another pretty face. She's the woman who won Paul McCartney's heart.
Have you found your knight in shining armor?
Tonight, you'll hear their unlikely love story. The Beatle legend and a woman who keeps defying the odds. She was a child of the streets, forced to sleep in a cardboard box, shoplifting to survive. But she became a sought-after international model until a freak accident cost her her leg.
Heather, you have no self-consciousness.
No, it's just, you know, I've just got a leg missing. Nothing else. I've still got my heart.
And her heart now belongs to Paul McCartney. Meet the woman who has changed his life as we embark on Heather's journey.
2020 continues with Heather's Journey. Once again, Barbara Walters.
2 years ago, many of us grieved with Paul McCartney at the loss of his wife Linda to cancer. But now there is happiness back in his life. Television viewers in Britain saw the evidence for themselves this week, the Beatle legend professing his love for the beautiful blonde woman by his side.
I love him. Can I ask you the same question?
Yeah, I love her too.
Yeah.
Who is this woman who has won the heart of Paul McCartney? Her life story, as you will hear now, is as dramatic and nearly as improbable as his. Meet Heather Mills.
It's funny how you take things for granted in life and never think about them until they happen to you or someone you love.
Why don't you
This is Heather Mills, model and champion for the disabled in her music video. She lost her left leg just below the knee when she was hit by a motorcycle 7 years ago, but you would never know. With her brightly painted toenails on both her real leg and her prosthetic, I couldn't tell the difference.
Surprises a few people, unless it falls off in hot weather.
Oh dear, does it?
Sometimes it gets really hot, or if I go swimming.
You go swimming with the artificial
Well, I
leg?
tried it with a leg. Normally I don't, but I got caught a wave so fast and it just went, popped off. But it floated, so we found it.
Heather, you have no self-consciousness.
No, it's just, you know, I've just got a leg missing. Nothing else. I've still got my heart, my
And if
brain.
you're comfortable, then other people are comfortable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Heather Mills is a tough and spirited fighter who writes her own rules and in doing so has defied the odds. At the age of 27, she described her real-life drama in her autobiography entitled Out on a Limb.
Let's go back to the beginning. Your childhood reads like something out of a soap opera. Describe your childhood to me.
As far back as I can remember, I remember my father being a very aggressive, you know, dominant man.
Was he abusive?
Yeah, he was very violent. Very, very violent.
You said you were afraid that he might even kill you and your mother. What did he used to do?
He threw her through a window and he just used to beat her black and blue.
Did he beat you?
Yeah, he was crazy. He was a crazy guy.
When you were 9 years old, your mother left the family, your brother, your sister, and you, and went off with an actor.
And we didn't hear anything from her for about 4 years.
My word.
And so for 4 years, I'd sort of brought the family up.
So you grew up very quickly.
Yeah, I don't remember being a child.
When you were 13, your father was arrested, went to jail. Why?
He borrowed so much money and never paid it back.
So here you were, no father, no mother?
My mother arrived, turned up after not seeing her for years, and she said, you can either come to London and live there or go in a home. So we were all shipped down to live with her and her boyfriend. But he'd been married 3 times before, so he didn't want any kids around. And he said, either Heather goes or I go.
So she kicked you out of the house? No money, no parents, 13 years old. What did you do?
I went to a fair.
A carnival?
Yeah, you call it carnival here, but the fun fair. And there was a guy there who introduced me to the boss, and they said, well, okay, you can have a job. So I lived there.
After 6 months, she says, she left the fair and began to live with the homeless around London's Waterloo train station. She was now 14, alone, and living in a cardboard box.
I stole clothes and I stole food to survive. which I don't recommend. And one day I remember being asleep next to this cardboard box, and I could hear the sound of water, and I could smell something strong, and I sort of woke up and felt that my hair was damp, and this tramp was just peeing next to my head. And I just thought, that's it, I've got to get out.
This childhood, this really horrendous childhood, what effect does it have on you today?
I think we all have certain amounts of anger in us about things that have happened in our life, and I'm just very, very lucky that I turned that anger into a positive energy.
Her determination to make something of her life led to a modeling career when a boyfriend secretly entered her photograph in a contest. Heather won, but landing work was an uphill battle.
I went to every agency in London and they all said, forget it, you're too tall, you're too short, you're too fat, you're too thin, your boobs are too big, your boobs aren't big enough, you know, it was that kind of thing. Anytime I was challenged and told that I couldn't do something, I would absolutely have to prove the opposite. And I did. I started to do really well in modelling.
You modelled all over Europe.
Yeah.
Although she was a successful model, she still had no relationship with her mother. When Heather turned 21, her mother died.
Had you reconciled with her by that time?
I had, but only 2 weeks before she died.
Your father is still alive.
Yeah, I don't speak to him. When I had my accident, he called the hospital, and all he said was, can I have a new TV and video?
Heather's father has denied physically or emotionally abusing his wife and daughter. He says he's proud of Heather. But Heather, who felt isolated from the love of her parents, seems to have looked for love much of her life. She thought she had found it when at 21 she married Alfie, a successful businessman who had been her boyfriend for 6 years. She became stepmother to his 2 sons, although their marriage would soon come to an abrupt end.
1 year later, you went to a ski resort in Yugoslavia, fell in love with a ski instructor named Milos, left Alfie, and moved in with Milos.
Sounds simple, doesn't it?
Life was anything but simple for Heather and her new love. The year was 1991, and the former Yugoslavia was on the brink of war.
Lived in a tiny little shack, little room.
And he was nice?
He was fantastic. Lovely, lovely man.
Heather and Milos were living in Slovenia when 4 months into their relationship, war broke out. They escaped to England together, though they eventually split up. For the next 2 years, Heather says she used her modeling income to aid innocent victims of the war.
During the war in Croatia, you kept flying back and forth from London to
Driving back and forth.
Driving back.
1,000 miles.
Bringing aid to refugees, many of them amputees.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about an amazing thing to happen.
And this time I still haven't lost my leg.
And yet you were working with amputees.
Yeah.
August 8th, 1993. You were 25 years old, single, walking to Kensington Gardens in London with a boyfriend. And suddenly, your whole world changed forever.
Yeah.